It's time to talk about our least favorite holiday, Halloween. It's just an opportunity to be nude. And here's the thing. You do your nude.
Even my concern.
But I want to get paid. If I'm going to be naked walking the streets, you pay me. I don't want to do it for free. So like,
I'm dying because Jocelyn's acting right now. Like if people offered her to like go do nude photo shoots, then she would do it.
No, I only got offered that. It's kind of offensive that I didn't get more offers for nudity.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Overshare, the podcast. I feel like I always have to say it in like a dramatic, theatrical way.
I think it deserves that. I think
Otherwise,
it deserves
like,
that kind of attention. Absolutely.
You know, like otherwise people might not know it's a podcast.
Yeah, that's true. That makes a lot of sense. Honestly, Lily, when you said that, I don't know what's weirder, the fact that you said that or the fact that I was like, yeah, that makes sense.
I agree with that. Anyway, I'm Lily Marston here with Jocelyn Davis. And today we're going to talk about some of our... we haven't even really decided. It's kind of going to just be a Halloween themed episode. I don't know if we're going to go into costumes, personal anecdotes,
we're going to go
candy
deep.
poisoning,
we're going deep.
Weird neighbors, anything. Tell me.
Food
kick us
poisoning?
off.
I don't know about that.
I don't know. What did I already forgot what I just said. I meant candy poisoning.
Oh, great. Because that is something that happens.
I feel like it's something you would have been super paranoid about always, even as a child.
All right. Well, we have to jump in first with our over it.
Oh, yes.
So, over it.
What she said.
Okay, Lil, what are you over this week?
I just asked you, can my over it be Halloween? I'm
Absolutely.
kidding. I feel like I've gotten a reputation for the few people that care that while I was at Clever, I wasn't a huge Halloween fan. And I don't necessarily think that it's Halloween itself that I don't like, but Halloween in LA specifically,
Why?
which is going to be completely irrelevant this year because nothing's going to be at least I would hope nothing's happening. But the parties and anything you go to is so crowded. And like people in LA in a crowded place can be kind of creepy to begin with. And like, I feel like you run into some interesting characters when it is Halloween and there are masks involved and people can like be even more weird and it's socially acceptable and they can like come up and run at you and scare. No. I went to West Hollywood one time and it was like my phone was about to die as we waited in our 2-hour line to get into an event that I had a ticket for. And I remember getting inside and my phone had like 3% and we finally get in and I was like, well, I guess I have to go because I was like, I'm not willing to be out on Halloween in LA with no phone. That is terrifying.
Oh my gosh. Well, we're going to jump into more Halloween stuff because like, honestly, just hearing you say all of those things brought back so many memories from my youth because like when you're like single and in your 30s and you're not trying to go to WeHo anymore. And like now I'm married, but like, what are me and Chris gonna do for Halloween? Just sit and look at each other in our costumes? Like
that's the thing. I mean, like this entire conversation is a little irrelevant to the current societal conditions we're living in. But I feel like as you get older, like I just wish so badly, and I think that LA is why it's the problem. I want my friends to just have house parties.
Yes.
Because especially for Halloween, that's like you don't want to be out and costumes can get uncomfortable. You want to be somewhere that's like nice. You can maybe like take off the costume halfway through if you're over it. I just want to go to someone's house, hang out, have a nice in the backyard, enjoy the weather. No one in LA has backyards because it's too expensive to have a house.
Mm-hmm. No, and Chris and I typically host people at our house literally all the time. Like at least once a week, people will come over. And Chris told me the other day, he's like, I miss like people being here.
I was gonna say, I hope not recently.
No.
Like, I don't know whether to be more offended that you're having people over or that I'm not invited.
Well, we have not had people over in several months at this point, except like my immediate relatives who have stopped by. But they don't even like coming here. Why would my family want to come here when all of them have these sprawling homes with like pools in the suburbs? You know what I mean?
Example, though. It's like 4th of July. Here, yes. I'm like,
why?
What am I going to do the 4th of July? Like go to the beach? Oh my God, there's people every 2 feet? No, I'm going to go to Jocelyn's parents' house where they have a pool and a water slide.
Abso-freaking-lutely. And you know what? We can still go over there because you can be on one side of the pool and I'll be on the other side of the pool. And we could just like throw a ball back and forth to each other.
I mean, we've been over the fact that I've literally seen Lisa.
That's true. You've seen, thank God you have Lisa. And I think you guys have created your own little quarantine pod.
And I think I said to my mom one time, no, it was someone that I didn't really know that well because they didn't know Lisa. I feel like anyone that knows me well would automatically know who Lisa is.
But give some context for people who don't know Lisa that we're just like casually referencing.
So this was my description. Lisa and I shared an office for 5 years. Otherwise, I can pretty much confidently say we never would have become friends because she wouldn't have allowed it. She's someone that is she's the best friend ever and is always so like ready to be there for you at anything and like will surprise you with things and be really sweet. But like, she will not admit it. You cannot talk about it afterwards. No. You are not her friend. You are we're apparently, I guess, still technically co-workers, if you want to say that, even though we like don't work together. So that's code for we're really friends. And she just doesn't like to
she won't admit it at all whatsoever. Same with me.
P.S. It's a bit. She really does think we're friends, but it's
she
just
is the most loving. Yes. She's like the human version of Daria the cartoon. That's what I always say. Yes.
But it's funny because I feel like literally I've only seen her and someone was like, oh, like you guys social distance. I'm like, I don't. Lisa and I, it's not like when we're hanging out, it's like, oh my God, I haven't seen you in so long. We like embrace for a long time. Lisa also, fun fact, really doesn't like hugs.
No.
So
she hates physical touch.
Even when we are together, we're not, I mean, yeah, the car is less than 6 feet, but I would say we've been social distancing since I met her.
Actually, that could not be more true. The only people that Lisa Heiser will hug are parents, just because she's a Southern kid and she's so polite.
Or celebrities.
Yeah. Like if you're Zac Efron, you're going to get a hug. If you're Lily Marston, you're not getting a hug.
Or if it's someone that it's like one of our friends, maybe that she doesn't know that well, but she like doesn't want to be rude and they go in for the hug. She panics and doesn't know how to like say no. So then she lets it happen.
But as soon as she knows you well enough, she's like down to just like be like, get out of my face. I don't ever want you to touch me again.
It can get violent.
Oh, by the way, we got to have Lisa on this show because she has so many great stories and the overshare could be so abundant with her because she has one of the most celebrity-infused lives of anyone I know. The amount of time she has spent with some of the most famous people in the world, aka the Jonas Brothers. By the way, I haven't even mentioned this, and maybe I should talk about this later, but I won't. I'll talk about it now. I am coming for Lisa's brand. I decided over the weekend that I'm officially a Jonas Brother fan. Just want to throw that out there.
I feel like that's like a controversial statement because of the poser you've been then the last.
Well, I liked them.
You're just now a fan.
No, I've always liked the Joe Bros. Obviously, forever since they had their swoopy doopy hair. I
just saw an old picture of us. Do you remember when we went to, I guess was it a reunion concert?
Oh my gosh, we went to their concert. We got the tickets for like $7.
Which was very sad. And great to look at where they've revamped now because genuinely it was like they were giving away the tickets. And it was at some theater in LA and Lisa was there like videotaping for them. And we all borrowed her shirts to wear.
Yeah, that feels like another lifetime ago.
Who was it? You, me, Misty...
I don't remember.
I like can't even remember. I'm trying to like. Dana was there. I'll send you a picture.
George, maybe.
It's great.
Good times. Good times.
And I just remember us sitting there and it being girls. Like the decibel level was so. I was like, oh no, this is why I never went to boy band concerts.
But I get it now. They are amazing. They are incredible, and they are hilarious on TikTok and on Reels. Okay. Just throwing it out there.
What were you over? How did we get to the Jonas Brothers?
Oh my gosh. Well, I'm definitely not over the Jonas Brothers. I would say I'm under them, but that sounds sexual. And I'm married now, so I can't say stuff like that anymore. What am I over, Lils? I had so many things to discuss. And I know I already brought up a few weeks ago that I was over the fact that Halloween was canceled. But what I'm kind of over is the concept that all of the stores are already like starting their Black Friday sales in early October. Like, I get it that Amazon Prime Day happened in October because it had to get pushed. Loved Amazon Prime Day. Go watch the videos if you haven't yet. But however, I just feel like, let us live. I might decorate my house for Christmas on like November 1st, but I feel like starting Black Friday sales in October, I don't know. Is it because we have nothing else to live for?
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, what is time at this point? And honestly, I have been struggling to go to Target and not buy a bunch of fall and Halloween decorations when genuinely, I guess when I was little, I liked decorating for Halloween. And then as I grew up, it just was like, I feel like it's not as long. Like, you could leave it up for October and that's kind of it. It doesn't feel as worth it. But that I am just so desperate to like do something or have a change of scenery that I was almost going to decorate for fall. And then I was like, no, you don't need to spend all of that money on more decorations. So I've been wanting to almost just prematurely decorate for Christmas. But
definitely. I think I was considering actually decorating for Christmas in July because I just felt like that's where we were at. Like the world just needed a little cheer, a little holiday cheer in its life. But I'm just not into Black Friday. I don't even know if I'm going to do Black Friday this year. I don't know if I like believe in it in general.
It's all about the online sales and then even waiting till Cyber Monday. I feel like I've gotten a TV each year.
Yes. I know that wasn't really a great over it, but I'll save one really good one up for our next episode. But as you guys know,
hopefully a viewer has a better one.
Yes. So as you guys know, you can now be a part of this show. We're actually asking you to call us and let us know what you are over at a phone number. Yes, we have a phone number. It's 562-661-8729. We want you to leave what you're over on our voicemail in 3 minutes or less.
It's so funny asking people to leave voicemails. I'm like, do those even really serve a purpose anymore?
When people leave me voicemails, I never listen to them. I just look at the transcription.
It just reminds me of like when parents go on Instagram and sign a comment like, love mom.
Yeah, like, exactly.
Yeah, I know.
One time I read the transcription of what Chris's voicemail was to me, which is really weird that he would even leave me a voicemail. And instead of saying the transcription, instead of saying, hey, babe, what's up? Just calling, blah, blah, blah. It said, hey, what's up? So that was funny. Anyways, let's listen to the voicemail from our Overshare Pod family member. What's up, fam?
Roll the tape.
Hi, Jocelyn. Hi, Lily. My name is Chelsea, and I have something that I am just so over. I am over Netflix canceling all of my shows. Recently, they just canceled The Society, and I am not okay with this. And I am upset. I'm just over it because I keep getting invested in shows and I like them so much and I tweet about them and I tell everyone to watch them and then Netflix just goes and cancels them. And then everyone that I told to watch it, they're like, you made me watch a show that doesn't even have a second season or it's not even going to get a second season. Ugh. I'm just over it. Netflix, please, 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 please. Stop canceling your shows on cliffhangers and make sure you have an actual ending. Anyway, that's what I'm over. Thanks for listening. Bye.
Listen, I love Chelsea, and I feel like you're more qualified to talk about this considering your Wentworth situation that you have going on.
Well, that isn't even, it didn't get canceled. It just like kept going. And I see right now a bunch of people have been like, oh my God, Lily, I saw Wentworth season 8 got uploaded to Netflix. Guys, when I look at the preview that comes, actually the preview plays from season 1, but like the thumbnail of it, I don't know one person in it. And I watched that show for 6 seasons. I'm like, if you get to the point that you have completely recast everyone except for like 2, maybe just you like,
it's kind of like a soap opera at that point.
Well, and that one had a really like pinnacle ending that they should have just ended on. Like it very much would have wrapped up the show. And it was like, it was sad, but it made sense.
Yes.
Now, who knows what they're doing.
Yes.
But what I was going to bring up, which I think I brought up before, that very much, Chelsea, reminds me of the show Popular by Ryan Murphy back in the day, which I brought up that it was one season and then it got canceled, but they didn't know it was going to get canceled when they filmed the finale. So the finale ends with a car accident that just has sirens going and then the credits go. And you're just like, so you never know. And it's like the two main characters were in it. So did they die? What happened? I'm never going to get closure. And I'm still very stressed about it, as you can see. So I completely understand your frustration.
No, I absolutely agree. And I think it needs to be like with TV shows that there needs to be like 2 to 3 seasons or none at all. Or it needs to be one really strong season, like Big Little Lies, for example, easily could have gone without season 2, although I love season 2 because Meryl is a freaking queen. But however,
thinking of it more of like an American Horror Story kind of thing.
Absolutely. Like where it's more, is it an anthology series? Yes. Something along those lines. But like I just watched the whole series Ballers on HBO. Freaking awesome show. I love it.
So shocked to hear that you watched an entire season of something that isn't like Real Housewives.
Yes. Okay. So I've been on a TV kick, I guess because of COVID, and Chris likes TV too. But here's the thing. When they shot the finale episode of that show, apparently they thought it might be the finale, might not be the finale. Yeah. So there's closure, but I was just like, okay, that's not cool. I want more, which is exactly how I feel about Gilmore Girls. This whole series that they brought back, the 4-part anthology thing on Netflix, freaking awesome.
But it just brought up more questions. Actually, this is great timing. I mean, we film these in advance, so what's today? October 15th?
October 15th. Tax day.
News just... Oh...
I'm like, tax day. I just gave away every cent I've ever earned. So there you go.
Great. I'm going to have to set up some monthly payments. News just came out that Dexter is returning for like a 10 season or a 10 episode arc. And I loved Dexter. And now I feel so weird saying that because I have a problem though that I feel like I watch something and then I'm like on to the next one and my brain clears out what it had before. I don't remember how Dexter ended, but I remember it was a big upset.
I just know he was a serial killer that killed bad guys, kind of like Robin Hood, but with murder, right?
Yeah, and I'm trying to think of how it ended, but he's coming back though, and it's like that show it would be like Breaking Bad. I mean, bad example because Breaking Bad had a movie and a spinoff show.
Exactly.
But you know what I mean? Like it had a very definitive ending and it's like, wait, what do you mean it's coming back? So I'm absolutely going to watch it, but I'm curious. I think if you're really concerned about this problem, Chelsea, then I would do what I do occasionally is wait until there's like season 1's over and that season 2 has been confirmed and you're like, okay. That's also, I feel like it gives you more reassurance that it's going to be a good show, that it did get picked up. Mm-hmm. I think it's hard now because shows are probably a little all over the place because of like how people are watching and when people are watching. And
yeah. And I also just want to say for the record to all of the executives from Netflix who are watching this show or listening to this podcast right now.
I think we have a lot of powerful industry people watching this.
You know what, Lily? You would be shocked. I
referenced Google people last time.
To all of the Netflix executives listening to this podcast, if you do not give me a season 2 of Emily in Paris, you're freaking fired. All of you are fired because that is the best show I've ever seen in my life. Lily Collins is an Earth Angel. She's adorable.
I have thoughts.
And I love that show.
I have thoughts because I haven't watched it.
It's so good. It's so good.
I watched the trailer.
Yes.
And from the trailer alone, I was like, did you watch Carrie Diaries?
Loved Sebastian.
Okay, well, I did
Carrie Diaries.
So this is a perfect example of what kind of things we watch. But that I think I tried to watch it and I just was like, this feels like I'm maybe not the demo for it. That's kind of how I felt when I watched the trailer for Emily in Paris. And then since then, I've seen quite a bit of feedback on Twitter, whether it's people like you that are like, I loved it. It's so fun. And then other people that are like, that girl is like supposed to be a social media manager. And then my favorite was someone asking, how does Emily stay so on top of her work and so energetic and blah, blah, all the time doing all this stuff? And someone answers and goes, I'm going to guess, Wellbutrin and an Adderall.
Honestly, I wondered that a few times. That was the only plot hole I noticed, was that I was like, how is she showing up to work on time not hungover? Like literally every day. But it's very campy. It's Darren Star who did Sex in the City, and it's different from the Carrie Diaries because it's
Did he do
on
Younger
Netflix.
too?
You know what? He might love Younger. Amazing show. It's not over yet. And your best friend Hilly Duff is one of the stars.
That one I think is like wit. I feel like other shows like this should aspire to be more like that. It felt a little more realistic.
It's not realistic. Emily in Paris is not realistic. And that's why I freaking love it, because it makes me believe that my delusions make sense. Okay. Anyways, let's move on to the overshare. It's time to talk about
Halloween.
Our least favorite holiday, Halloween. Okay. All right.
I have to say, just to kick this off, again, to any Halloween lovers out there, I'm not like an anti-Halloween person. And I love scary movies and creepy things. So I feel like this would be my perfect storm holiday. I think it was that I liked it when I was little, and then it just got harder and harder to like easily celebrate it.
You know why it got harder and harder? Because society in Los Angeles expects women like us, especially when I was a younger woman, it's just an opportunity to be nude. And here's the thing.
That's not really even my concern.
But I want to get paid. If I'm going to be naked walking the streets, you pay me. I don't want to do it for free. So like,
I'm dying because Jocelyn's acting right now. Like if people offered her to like go do nude photo shoots, then she would do it.
No, I only got offered that. It's kind of offensive that I didn't get more offers for nudity. I'm kind of annoyed by it, but it's probably my baby boys or something. But I only got like one offer from a photographer for like nudity, and it was incredibly creepy. So actually two times.
I thought you were going to say, and the rate was incredibly low.
It was too low. I think it was like to be in his art book or something. And I was like, LOL, bro, I'm out.
Oh my God.
Okay, so what do you think about Halloween as it stands now?
This year, or if we didn't have a global pandemic?
Either or.
This year, I have to say, I feel bad for people that I think it really is like their Christmas. Like, I hate myself so much for saying this. And I feel like the reasons I love Coachella are not for the basic reasons that you would assume people like Coach. There's no excusing it. I just have a really good time. And it's always just nice refresh for me. I feel like I get to hang out with my friends, listen to music, and not worry about anything. Great time. I feel like my Coachella is other people's Halloween.
That makes a lot of sense.
And I know that not having it this year, it's not like the end of the world, but it's like, that was one thing that like usually kind of keeps me going. Like I could like live off that excitement for a while.
Yeah.
If like there are people that spend all year coming up with costume ideas. So I think
That's
for
true.
them, it also depends on if you're more into the costume aspect or more into the party aspect, because maybe it's better for some people, especially YouTubers, if they just then can stay home like all of October and do a bunch of costumes.
That's true. But I actually purchased a bunch of costumes online last year that I meant to shoot.
Now. I was like, why?
No, last year. And I never made a video. And I was like, oh, I'll use them this year. And now I'm like, does anyone care? Like, should I even make a video about Halloween costumes? Well, that's stupid.
It's funny because I'm curious to see if there are going to be a lot of like, how many videos do you usually see where it's like 100 easy last minute costumes the week before?
But now it's like, who cares?
So I was almost thinking, and I didn't know if it would turn out to be, I didn't know if it would be offensive or not, but I was thinking about how I look. Do you remember one of the Prime Day sales that I kept scrolling past was these black turtlenecks? And all I could think of was when we did our Patreon announcement and that we kept saying that I looked like Elizabeth Holmes.
Oh my gosh, you should dress as Elizabeth Holmes.
So I was like, what if I did? I think the only videos that will do well are when it's like a more comedic, like these are funny costumes you wouldn't use to actually dress up, but it's funny to just think about them and know they exist.
Absolutely.
But if I was like 5 different problematic white women from I guess she was 2019 maybe, but.
What is going on with her, by the way? That's for another show. I
haven't looked into her recently, but to be like people like her, people just ones that are recognizable, but also like you wouldn't know until I told you, and then you'd be like, oh. Yes.
Like probably Carol Baskin.
That was going to be
people
one of
like that.
Yes,
yeah, exactly. Carol Baskin, who was on my mom's favorite show, Dancing with the Stars. My mom's very upset about the new direction of the show, but that's a whole other episode that we should have Judy on to discuss. I actually have a story that I don't think you know.
Hit me.
It's a Halloween story. So
I would hope so.
When I was in like my mid-20s-ish,
decades
all
ago.
of my girlfriends from college, we all lived in LA and we were all working, and everybody was like on this crazy grind and like just working for the most wild people, but like the 17th assistant, like definitely like that kind of thing that you see in the movies. So one of my girlfriends, one of my best girlfriends to this day, worked for Heidi Klum. She was on her management team. Mm-hmm. And if you guys recall, Heidi Klum is like the queen of Halloween. Every year she does the most elaborate costumes and the most elaborate parties. What?
You know that is one of the controversial times when Prince Andrew was photographed with Ghislaine was at one of Heidi Klum's Halloween parties.
Oh my gosh, do you know which one it was?
It was a New York one.
Okay.
Hookers and something.
Oh, great. No. Okay, so basically, because my girlfriend Erin was one of her like managers at the time, she was able to like essentially sneak all of our friends into Heidi Klum's Halloween party.
And so how old were you?
Mid-20s. I can't remember.
So like a very cool, like, oh wow, we've made it.
The most, oh wow. So it was one of the first times she ever threw the party in LA, and she threw it at a club called Voyeur, which had not even opened yet at the time. So it was like the hottest location, the hottest people, whatever. So we actually had to get there like super early just so she could like sneak us in before she had to like take Heidi Klum on the red carpet or whatever.
Like, I was going to say like when we go to red carpets and they're like, hey, yeah, you walk the carpet, but you have to get there 3 hours before everyone else so you don't clog it when the real people get here.
Exactly. But we didn't care because we were just like so excited to have like an open bar and to be able to like be around famous people and whatever. So we all got super dressed up, of course, in scandalous costumes.
Do you have any pictures?
I was a sexy Ghostbuster. Absolutely. I will show you some pictures. And so we went to this Halloween party. But here's the weird thing, which it's so crazy that you were talking about masks and stuff. Inside of this party, we were legitimately the only non-famous people. It was during the era of Twilight. All the Twilight people were there, okay? All the most random people were there. And one of my girlfriends, who's like now married, has a baby, all this stuff, this guy just like came up to her on the dance floor and was like obsessed with her, like got her number, and they were dancing. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm like, he's like really doing some moves on the dance floor. That's because it was Mark Ballas from Dancing with the Stars, but he had on a mask. And so we didn't know until the next day when he called her. It was hilarious. So we all proceeded to overserve ourselves.
Literally, these are like the kind of LA stories that it's like everyone has, and it sounds really cool, but it's not.
It's
common.
Not that out of the ordinary.
It doesn't happen all the time, but it also isn't the weirdest thing.
No. So also like in this club, it was really weird because like there was a netting in the ceiling and there was like people crawling around and like doing burlesque dancing like in the ceiling too. It was like a very weird LA thing. I don't even know if this club still exists.
Experiential situation.
So at one point we decided to go outside on the patio, and you know, I think I'm the kind of person who when I have a few cocktails, I'm just an elevated version of myself. Very friendly, just want to talk to people, say hello, very happy, whatever. So
everyone just keep in mind an elevated version of her being happy and friendly.
So I go outside in my sexy Ghostbuster costume and I meet this person, this man. And I was just like,
oh God,
I don't know why. Like, I thought he was there with another man. So I thought they were like a couple, these two guys. And so I was just like very complimentary of him. I was like, you are in such great shape. Your abs, you look so good. Oh my gosh, what do you do? Do you do Tai Bo? I just remember like going
You're
on
just
and on.
hyping him up thinking he's gay and it's not a weird thing.
Because I thought he was there with another man and I thought they were a couple. I don't know. It's so stupid. It's not like he told me that. So I'm going on and on telling this guy guy basically how hot he is. And then his girlfriend walks up and she is not happy. And she is also Jordan Sparks. And I was like, oh my gosh.
Who was the guy? Who is she?
I don't know. I don't know. I'd have to look it up. So then I realized, oh, they're there together because they were both characters from like Wizard of Oz. And I was like, oh. So like he was like the Tin Man, like a sexy shirtless Tin Man, and she was like Dorothy or something. And I was like, okay, I'm going to be leaving now. Goodbye. And then I just like proceeded to run back inside the party. But I mean, it was the wildest people. Like obviously Heidi Klum was there, and this is like 15 years ago or something when she was like peak celebrity level. But then it was like the Twilight Saga people and like the whole cast of Dancing with the Stars was just tearing up the dance floor.
I'm just loving that the Twilight Saga people are involved here because that's so full circle because that was before you were at Clever and Twilight essentially helped like with Clever TV's success. It's like
it really
Justin
did.
Bieber, Selena Gomez, and Twilight.
And Miley Cyrus, Hoedown, Throwdown, and early Joe Bros. Anyways, that's one of my favorite Halloween stories. I mean, I definitely have plenty of them. My childhood Halloween was incredibly bleak because my mom was always like, the only ghost in this house is the Holy Ghost. You're not dressing as anything. Like, I couldn't be a witch. Like, no ghost. Like,
your parents were because of religious reasons?
No, not really. I think my mom would just say that to be funny. But like, she just doesn't like scary things. My mom, you know my mom. My mom is
you don't like scary things either.
I don't either. So my mom would dress us in these like handcrafted costumes that she had sewn.
I was going to say, obviously Judy Davis made them because she was a home ec teacher and is the sweetest woman ever.
But I would be dressed as like Betsy Ross. And I was like, Mom, what is Betsy Ross? And she's like, the woman, of course, who created the first American flag. And I was like, what? All my friends are cool costumes and I'm Betsy Ross.
Your mom's choice of what you were going to be for Halloween was like what everyone else was having to pick for like their 5th grade oratorical speech where they did a history project.
No. Mine was like super early. I remember multiple years not knowing what I was for Halloween and just being like, I don't know. I'm a historical figure that my mom really respects.
I mean, the fact that your mom was invested enough to pick costumes and like give them to you, I definitely always picked mine. And I don't feel like my mom really, I don't know. I feel like my mom was very uninvolved in all of it. She never liked Halloween. I always, when we were little, would love decorating, but I also was little and couldn't decorate well by myself. So I feel like I would always like try and do it. And then like no one else in our family cared at all. And I was specifically always very frustrated with my dad because my friend Shelby, where we filmed our mermaid episode.
Oh yeah, we did. We became mermaids when we worked at Clever at Shelby's parents' house.
Like 3 years ago. Shelby was like my best friend from kindergarten till through like middle school-ish. And our parents are still close. We used to spend Christmas together and stuff. Still keep in touch to this day. Are still friends. But we always did trick-or-treating together. I don't know if I have it anywhere accessible, but there's a hilarious picture where Shelby and my sister always were like cute girly things. And then I've said this before. One year I was an alien.
Wait, I want to see these pictures.
I've seen it recently enough that it's like burned into my head, but it's Shelby is Baby Spice. I don't remember what my sister was. And then I am an alien, and it's literally like an alien mask that fits over that has a cape attached. But then it also, it didn't come with, I purchased in addition a voice changer to go along with it because I was very
You were producing yourself. You were already a producer. You were producing your costume.
But anyway, I was always so jealous because I would try and get my dad to do this. Shelby's dad, bless his heart, he every year, and she lived in one of the nice neighborhoods that people would go to even if they didn't live there because that's where the good candy was.
Trick-or-treating, yeah.
So if you go up to her front porch, steps, there's no porches in LA.
I mean, they have like more, if you walk up to their estate, their sprawling estate.
They don't live in like some absurd huge house, but it is a very nice home.
I mean, it's pretty nice.
Yeah, so you walk up and there's a little bench next to the front door. And what they did every year, to the point that it became a thing in the neighborhood, is that her dad would dress up as like a dummy kind of scarecrow. And then they would also have a scarecrow that was life-size set up next to him. And they would both have masks on. And you couldn't, I mean, I think as we got older, it was
you could tell
more obvious which was which. But when you're little, literally people wouldn't even expect that it was a person. So he would just sit there and not move. And he would hold the thing of candy. And then as soon as kids reach in, he would like reach out and scare them.
That's terrifying.
And it was terrifying. But then we would like watch from the inside. And it was like we would like, we felt like we were in on it too. And I would always beg my dad to do it. I think he maybe did for like 5 minutes one time. That was like, fuck this. Like went in and start drinking instead. But literally, Shelby's dad doing that was the highlight of our Halloween, because it was like you'd walk down the street afterwards and you'd hear kids screaming. Like conspiring with each other. Like, okay, so did you hear about the guy? I think it's the guy on the left. And they'd be like trying to figure it out. And we'd be like,
I also just thought of like one of my weird costumes, like as I was about to age out of trick-or-treating, like probably 4th or 5th grade, which actually isn't aging out because I feel like people trick-or-treat till like 8th grade. But we
trick-or-treated in high school once.
I think I dressed as a cheerleader, which is so weird as a Halloween costume.
That's just a cop-out last-minute one.
Yeah, but I was like probably in 4th or 5th grade, and I just felt like I needed boobs. So like I wore fake boobs.
You were a scandalous cheerleader.
And I just remember even thinking at the time, like, I really want boobs. Like I really do.
That was never something that was like a dream of mine.
It's not now. And as soon as I like got old enough to actually have boobs, I could really care less at all. But at that moment in time, I was like, I feel like this costume really calls for boobs, you know? And so I remember stuffing it full, but then also being like, this is weird. Like, why am I doing this? It was a very strange. So I remember trick-or-treating kind of like just with like my arms crossed and like the little bucket like right in front of me, because I just knew it was a strange choice.
That's hilarious. Did you use a bucket for your candy? We always just did pillowcases.
Oh, yeah. It depended on the year. Some years I had like a little go-to, like a pumpkin bucket, you know? And then other years, we just like use whatever you could find lying around. Oh, another thing, another Judy Davis thing, because my parents live in a neighborhood where a lot of people, most people don't live in the neighborhood that come in. Like people will like come, even like churches will bring like buses of kids. Like it's pretty crazy. My mom is the sweetest lady ever, but she has a few things that grind her gears. And one of them is people who take their babies trick-or-treating. And my mom, I've seen her do it. Savage. A person with like a literal 3-month, 6-month-old will come to the door with their stroller, and my mom will be like, no, no candy for you.
She's denies them.
She's like, who's trick-or-treating here? Who's actually going to eat this candy? And she's like, funny. Sorry, no, bye. I'm like, oh my God.
I'm thinking like if they had another kid and then had the baby with them. No, it's just the baby.
I think it's super weird though. Like I get the concept of wanting to celebrate your child's first Halloween and put them in like a duck costume.
But also like maybe unpopular opinion, I kind of feel the same way about traveling, not traveling if the parents want to go on vacation, but like taking a 3-month-old to Disneyland. They're not going to remember that. No. Why are you wasting your money? Do you want to go to Disneyland with a 3-month-old? Can you even do anything?
That's a conversation you and I have not ever discussed at all, I don't think, is how we feel about like Disney for adults and like Disney passes. Because I'm not a girl who wants to go to Disneyland on that much at all ever. I'll go like once a year, but beyond that, I'm good.
For me, it's not judging people for liking Disney and liking rides.
I think it's great.
It's that I personally, waiting in line for me, if I'm not getting something so worth it, I'm not waiting. Why would you go somewhere specifically to just wait in line for hours? I think the only way that I would be like, yeah, Disneyland is if I was with like a guy that I really liked, because then it would be just cute. Like, you can be those annoying couple in line, like PDA, and be really cutesy. But otherwise, although I do think in recent years they've started selling alcohol at more places.
Oh, well, count me in.
That would make things a little different, because I feel like at least you'd have things to kind of occupy yourself, but it feels like it's a very physical activity to be going there all day, and you don't get that much out of it. And then it's so expensive.
Honestly, I could just drink a bottle of wine at my own house. Like, why do I need to go to Disneyland? It's too far away.
The only time I've ever enjoyed myself at an amusement park is when I have eaten some edibles first.
But if you guys are celebrating Halloween, or if Halloween is your favorite holiday and your favorite day, we celebrate you. I think that's great. Everybody's got to have their thing. You know what I mean?
I remembered what I was going to say earlier.
What?
You mentioning that middle school, you think, was when you stopped trick-or-treating?
I think like 7th or 8th grade was when I was like, my mom never made me stop, but I think I thought I was too cool, you know?
Did people's parents, was that like a thing? They had to like sit them down and be like, not this year, sweetie.
Probably. And that's when I started going to like high school parties, like boy-girl parties.
That's when it changes, is when there's other things to do besides trick-or-treating.
Yes.
I think there's a few years like in middle school where maybe we'd go trick-or-treating for a little bit, but then I had a group of friends where we'd do movie nights. And we called ourselves the movie nighters.
That's cute.
It was cute, but I'm also like, what? And also we probably like left a bunch of people out because we were very like the
exclusive.
5 of us, like this was our thing. No one else can come. But we would get together and like watch scary movies and stuff on Halloween. But specifically a little more down the line, I remember, I think it must have been like sophomore year. And I do have pictures of this because I think they're on my Facebook, but private because I have had to private all of those albums. My friend Marcel lived in Lake Sherwood, which I think I've talked about is where like Britney Spears. Specifically, Britney Spears lived there, the Gretzkys. I think Will Smith had a house in there at one point. A lot of celebrities because it's just outside of LA. It's like similar to like where Jeffree Star lives in Calabasas. It's just like a similar neighborhood a little further down. So we sophomores. So we're almost, I think we could drive at the time because I think my mom wouldn't have driven me all the way over there because it was far from my house. It must have been 16. Marcel, because she lived in this giant neighborhood and her parents were wealthy, had a golf cart.
You do. As one does.
They didn't use for golfing. I don't even think her dad golfed. We just used it to drive around the neighborhood, and it was just like our fun thing. We would go there.
Your mode of transportation.
I'd be like, bye, Mom. I'm leaving for a week because we have more things to do at Marcy's house than we'd ever have to do anywhere else. We went trick-or-treating on the golf cart because all of the houses are so big that it'd take you an hour to go to 2. And we, I think, what was my costume? Oh, as you said, you were a cheerleader, which I said was a huge cop-out. I believe I just like wore pajamas. That's like the best. So what were you?
Like a baby? Sleeping person?
Literally like a sleeping, like I had like a robe and like PJ. Literally made no sense. And I'm like, I think I've done that multiple times where it's like, I'll just put on pajamas and pretend that I'm sleeping. And I remember going to a few of the doors and them opening and being like,
are you lost?
But then also because that neighborhood is so big, not that many people are and it's gated, so you can't just like show up. Not that many people are trick-or-treating, so they'd kind of be like,
I guess, here's your candy.
Weird. You guys are old, but like here.
Oh my gosh. Well, it's kind of nice to reminisce about Halloween because as we mentioned earlier, it might not really be happening this year. So to any of you guys that are sad about that, I'm so sorry. I hope that you stay at home and celebrate with yourself. Celebrate with yourself.
You know what we should do is maybe with like our patrons or something, we should do, you can do on Netflix, like watch party.
Oh, we should do a watch party.
With Hocus Pocus.
Absolutely. I'm 100% in. Sign me up whenever we're doing it. But
we'll look into dates and publicize them.
We'll get back to you. It's probably already happened by the time this podcast goes live. But Lil, are you ready to wrap this up with Share Well?
I think so.
Great.
So long, Share Well. I hate us so much more now.
Okay, as we do on every episode of Overshare the podcast, we like to leave you with a little bit of joy at the end of the show. So Lil, pray tell, what brought you joy this week?
You are so kind for asking me, but I think you should go first.
Oh my gosh. Well, Interestingly, a lot of things brought me joy this week. I just re-laminated my eyebrows again, which has been bringing me a lot of joy throughout COVID and quarantine. But if I had to pick one thing, really the thing that made me smile and brought me a lot of laughs this week were two things. Emily in Paris, the full series, which I binged in the course of 2 days, and I stayed up to the middle of the night to finish, as well as the season premiere of Bachelorette, featuring Claire Crawley, who was a 39-year-old woman. And I don't know where the show is going to go. I've read all the spoilers, so I kind of do. But basically, she was
gonna
like...
say, I feel like you probably do.
I kind of do know where the show is going to go, but I'm excited to watch it unfold. I just found her to be someone on the show just in the first episode who was like a grown-up. Like, two of the guys were getting into like a little scuffle on the side. And so she just brought them together and she's like, did you do this? Did you do this? And then they were like fighting and she's like, I'm going to leave right now because I have more people to meet. So like, I don't need this like childhood, like this bullshit in my life. And then at one point they showed a teaser where one of the guys was like, I don't even know why I came here to meet the oldest bachelorette ever, like making fun of ageism. And she's like, you want to know why I'm 39 and single? Because I never settled for a loser like you. And I was like, yes, queen. Yes, yes, yes.
I love that. See,
So
that makes me
excited.
happy because I feel like that's why I don't like watching that show. I'm sure what actually happens a lot of the time is probably more interesting than the way they edit it. I feel like I watch a 2-hour video
happens.
episode where it's just them repeating the same conversations with multiple people and her just saying the same, like, I'm just here to find love. I just want to do this. Blah, blah. And it's the most generic. You could switch out any bachelorette and have them say that. So I appreciate that she's kind of switching it up.
Yeah.
Because I always think of that. I'm like, when you see, especially, I think the guys are more like they get drunk and like macho and try and like
like do like a wiener measuring, like my ween's this long, how long is yours? Whoa. That's what they do basically.
And then, but the girls, even when because I feel like without fail every season there's the, oh my God, she stole him again, she already talked to him, how dare she, blah blah. And I'm like, do you people know what show you're on?
No, I don't think they do.
It's like they forget suddenly. They get in the mansion and get amnesia. But I just like, I agree with her that I'm like, if I witnessed that going on, I wouldn't be like, oh, what did so-and-so say? I'd be like, hey guys, let's
rein it in and I'm leaving.
It's like line up in a line and we're going to go through. None of you talk to each other anymore.
Yeah, exactly. And so I feel like it's fun to see, maybe for the first time ever, like a real grown up, like a real
reaction to one thing going on and not just like, oh, they're fighting over me.
And also, spoiler alert, Claire's going to leave the show because she finds her love on the first night. She literally said, I just met my husband when she met this guy who is so hot. And Chris said the reason he's hot is because he squints a lot. And I've been trying to squint and it's not working for me. But
I saw a comment on a recent episode and it said that our blink ratio is Jocelyn 10 to Lily 1.
Oh, I blink constantly. That's nothing
so now
new.
I'm just picturing you like squinting and blinking like.
It's not hot. It's Chris even told me it's like, not really working for me.
Squinting doesn't sound like a hot characteristic anyway. I like eyes.
I do too, but Chris said it's a hot thing. And I'm like, cool, I guess I don't know about hotness.
I've always known this, but I think I just kind of like actually realized that it is a quantifiable thing that I'm like, that is what I'm attracted to. Is if you don't have like, you know, there's people that they could have nice eyes, but it feels like I don't know, there's certain people where they just have like kind eyes.
Oh, the eyes are the window to the soul.
I feel like you can tell a lot about a person by just like how they look at you, even during a conversation. And I feel like that is one of the first things I notice.
Absolutely. I've looked at people and been like, you're terrifying. I never want to talk to you again. Or you're mesmerizing and I want to be in your life. But the last thing I want to say about Bachelorette is that when Claire leaves, another one of my favorites, Tayshia, is taking over. And I have real life mutual friends with her. And I think it's going to be a really great season. She's also a real adult. She's divorced. So she knows like about like what marriage is. And she's like in her early 30s. So thank you so much, ABC, for finally getting it together. Anyways, what brought you joy, Lil?
I mean, this conversation, but God, I don't know. I always feel like I lose such track of the time of what I even did this week. But I feel like most of it I probably spent watching. I'm not even going to ask you if you've seen it. There was The Haunting of Hill House that came out on Netflix.
No, I'm not allowed to watch that. Are you kidding?
So that one was scary. This one, it's like it's like an anthology series. So it's most of the same actors. Some. I don't even remember now. A couple of the same actors.
Okay.
And it is like a ghost story. It's called The Haunting at Bly Manor. Mm-hmm. But it's also like by the end, even because someone's like telling the story the whole time and says that it's a ghost story or a scary story. And by the end, someone's like, I don't think it was a ghost story. I think it was a love story. Because the way it ends, like the way it starts and the way it ends is like almost
very
feels
different.
Like two different genres. Not that it isn't about ghosts anymore, but it's less about them being scary and more kind of, I don't know.
Do you believe in ghosts? I forget. You don't, right?
I'm a big skeptic. I never want to flat out be like, no, absolutely not. It's stupid, because I feel like there's certain things that people have experienced that are very unexplainable, but I would need that to happen to me to be able to fully embrace it.
Okay, great.
But I would recommend if you like scary stuff, but it's not like jump scary or like scarring that you're gonna be like having nightmares about it.
Yeah.
But I almost would. I was talking to Zach Campbell the other day about it, and I was like, I almost would compare it to like how you didn't watch Black Mirror either.
No, another show I'm not allowed to watch.
One of the episodes is very much not scary, and it's San Junipero. Did you ever? It was like it got like a cult following, but that very much reminds me of like that episode is kind of the same vibe of this season.
Okay.
So I don't know. It was like kind of confusing and then a lot going on and having to pay attention. But I would say that just having something new to capture my attention brought me joy.
Yeah, I think that's great.
I didn't get bored.
That's great. I think a lot of people out there probably feel the same. And I hope that Chelsea listened to this entire episode so that she can go watch that show now. Because as we know, she is very disappointed in Netflix. And again, because I know that Netflix executives are likely listening to this entire program, I hope that you will take into consideration the concerns of the people paying for your product, which is not me because I'm on my dad's account still. But however.
Lucky. Also, I would like to, while you're still listening, Netflix executives, I would love to edit a future documentary series for you.
Oh my gosh, abso-freaking-lutely. Oh, wow. Well, this has been fantastic. To all of you guys.
Last thing. Chelsea, if you need a show to watch that has more than one season, Wentworth is phenomenal up until, I'd say like 6.
Okay.
So, but you have a big time. That's a good window of content to be watching. So I would recommend
And when in doubt, just rewatch Grey's Anatomy because again, it's like all different people when the show starts. Gilmore Girls. Always my top fave. You guys, if you're listening, if you're watching, thank you so much. If you are new here and you've just discovered this podcast, please subscribe, leave us a review, give us 5 stars, all of the things because it's very helpful to us. And please share this on social when you're listening if you have any comments, concerns, or questions, and we will be resharing. We love to see you guys on the IG.
And make sure to call in and leave your over it.
Absolutely. Again, that phone number is 562-661-8729. And with that, I think we're done.
Thank you for being here today.
Thank you for being here today. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.